Whenever I report about a volcano that is erupting, you guys keep asking me, well, is it just me or is there increased worldwide volcanic activity or seismic activity? Well, let's talk about the volcanoes. Let's talk about the Ring of Fire, because that has a lot of volcanoes because of all these tectonic forces there. So why, or is there a sudden surge in volcanic eruptions? And it seems the answer is yes. And the scientists are trying to give us explanation as to why that is the case, because what they are saying, or how they call it, they say this is an unprecedented spike in volcanic activity across the Pacific Rim. And in the last year, the seismic networks have recorded a surprising increase in volcanic eruption along the Ring of Fire. So according to the USGS, the US Geological Survey, over 50 volcanoes have erupted in this region between mid-2023 and early 2024. And now we're in almost mid-2025, and there's even more. So that has made a clear uptick from their previous year's recordings. So if we look at the Pacific Rim of Fire, it looks like a horseshoe-shaped belt that is encircling the Pacific Ocean. And it's home to about 75% of the world's active volcanoes. And the sudden surge has captured the attention, of course, of both scientists, well, let's say of three, of us, of course, but also the local communities. Because, of course, lots of eruptions cause ash clouds, lava flows, earthquakes, tremors, and they're disrupting everyday life, depending on how close you live, with evacuations, etc. So many experts suggest that this level of activity hasn't been seen in decades. Boof, there it is, guys. That's your answer, but there's more. So stay with me, listen to this. So some scientists even compare it to the intense eruption periods of the early 20th century. So residents from Chile to Japan have reported increased evacuation orders, with thousands forced to temporarily leave their homes. And Japan especially, I've just released a video that they have a warning for the big one there. With all these tectonic forces and fault lines, I mean, they're also getting the big earthquakes and the big tsunamis, and they have the volcanoes. I mean, it's all interconnected. So the heightened activity has, of course, led to flight cancellations, significant economic losses already, and particularly, of course, in Indonesia, where there was a lot going on, and the Philippines also. I've reported about some of these volcanoes. So scientists right now, they're closely monitoring the situation to understand whether this is just an isolated burst or whether this is a sign of more turbulent years ahead. What does that mean for us who live along the west coast of North America with all these volcanoes, the Pacific Ring of Fire there? Well, there have been reports like Mount St. Helens and some other ones. Rainier is something brewing. Then there's Mount Baker. Well, hopefully not. So far, nothing looks like it's really, really serious. But Alaska has a problem with Mount Spur currently. It looks like something's happening there. But let's get back to Indonesia. And it's funny because I was walking the dogs today and I met two people from Indonesia, and I said, well, are you worried about all your volcanic eruptions? They were visiting Vancouver and they were like, yeah, we have volcanoes. Mount Merapi has frequent eruptions and growing concerns. What's going on? Mount Merapi is on the Indonesian island of Java and has been especially restless, erupting multiple times in the past few months. On March 11th, 2024, for example, it has sent a huge towering column of ash almost 6 kilometers high up into the sky, into the air, and that has affected air traffic significantly and has also blanketed the nearby villages in ash. So according to Indonesia's observatory, their Center for Volcanology and Geological Hazard Mitigation, they said that they have recorded more than 20 significant eruptions since late 2023. So they have a lot of lava domes that have been growing steadily, and of course that has increased the fears of pyroclastic flows, fast-moving currents of hot gas and volcanic matter, and it has happened. By the way, the alert level for White Island has been raised to level 3. There's plumes coming out from the island, but thankfully it's not a tourist island anymore, and they are only observing it with satellites. They have no local sensors on it, but it seems that there have been some pyroclastics events already. So also here at Merapi, local authorities have raised the alert level to its highest level. So Merapi is a different thing than White Island. Don't compare this in intensity. So highest level, guys. They're urging the residents to maintain a safe distance from the volcano. The agricultural sector, of course, is always hit the hardest. If their fields are covered with ash, nothing is growing. If ashfall is damaging the soil or even crops that have already grown, and it's also contaminating water supplies. That's why it's so dangerous if a supervolcano erupts. Like always, the whole world's talking about Yellowstone, but we've got that monster Campifligre that is restless. If you're new here on this channel, check out my playlist about Campifligre and the recent videos that I have released. So emergency shelters have already been set up for thousands of people from displaced villages, and the frequency and the strength of these eruptions have made Merapi a focal point in this recent surge along that ring of fire. But we also have another volcano that has a record-breaking eruptive phase, and I've already mentioned Alaska previously, but we're not talking about Mount Spur. It's a tongue-breaker volcano, at least for me, Shishaldin volcano. It has entered one of its most active periods on record, guys. So the Alaska Volcano Observatory has reported that since July 2023, Shishaldin has erupted more than 12 times, with major ash plumes that have disrupted flights across the North Pacific. And the volcano's activity has been so intense that ash clouds have reached altitudes of over 10 kilometers. That is huge. And of course, if it's going that high, it's posing a huge risk to flight routes, to trans-Pacific flight routes. These ash particles can damage the engines. So the eruptions of this volcano, I call it this volcano so that I don't have to say it that often. The eruptions have generated significant lava flows and volcanic mud flows as well. They're called lahars. And they have threatened nearby infrastructure. There is infrastructure nearby. And if you look at the seismic data, they show that this level of activity is very, very unusual for Shishaldin. Typically, this mountain erupts way less frequently. And researchers are currently analyzing its gas emissions and the ground deformation, trying to predict future eruptions, trying to understand what is going on. It's always, if you have a mountain that is erupting more often, of course, you try to find a pattern to better predict what's next, We've followed that in Iceland. So fishermen and coastal communities have been warned about future falling ash and poor air quality. And the sustained eruptions have made Shishaldin a key indicator of the region's overall heightened volcanic risk. And Mount Spur, if that erupts, will send ashes to Anchorage and the areas there as well. Let's get back to Japan. Poor guys, that country is getting it all. The Sakurajima volcano also increased explosive episodes in Japan. It's located in the Kagoshima prefecture. It has displayed a very concerning increase in explosive eruptions since late 2023. And the Japanese Meteorological Agency has documented more than 300 explosive events in the past 6 months, and that's a significant jump compared to previous years. So there as well. And also here, people were bothered by this, of course. Thick ash clouds have repeatedly drifted over Kagoshima city, has prompted health warnings, frequent street cleaning, because the ashes were everywhere. Authorities have raised the volcano's alert level, and they have restricted access to its summit and the surrounding areas. And local residents have reported that they hear a persistent rumbling that's coming from the mountain, that their windows are shaking, and of course their nerves are rattling. So magma seems to try to get out. That's causing rumbling. And this volatility, of course, has disrupted transportation routes, has led to school closures on several occasions. So it is very disruptive. And scientists there attribute the uptick to magma accumulation at the volcano, increased magma accumulation, and also, and that's why we also have these bigger earthquakes, increased tectonic stress right underneath the volcano. So also there, continuous monitoring and real-time data sharing is crucial to be prepared for a potential disaster in the region. Let's do a quick jump to Guatemala. Fuego, I have reported about that guy too, has very, and now I can't say the word, unaliving pyroclastic flows. So it has erupted repeatedly since early 2024, since January 2024, and it has sent fatal pyroclastic flows down its slopes, unfortunately. And according to Guatemala's National Institute for Seismology, Volcanology, Meteorology, and Hydrology, wow, that's a big one, at least 5 major eruptions have occurred in just 3 months, and that has forced mass evacuations in the area. The most severe event happened on February 18th, 2024, and it has resulted, unfortunately, in the destruction of several villages, and at least a dozen people were lost. Ashfall has covered large areas, has contaminated water supplies, has damaged crops, and destroyed farmland. So emergency response teams were on high alert and raced to clear roads, tried to provide aid, but the problem is that the frequency of these eruptions has stretched their resources thin. So Fuego's activity has also affected, of course, the air traffic. Several airports needed to close temporarily, very reduced visibility. And if you look at the people, the psychological toll for affected families has been immense, as many people have lost their homes and their livelihoods. So the ongoing threat that's coming from this volcano has made Fuego one of Central America's most closely watched volcanoes. But if you watch my channel on a regular basis, the Italians at the supervolcano Campi Flegrei some scientists are saying, and I think they're right, yeah, closely monitoring doesn't guarantee safety, right? So they closely monitor it and then they say, oh, it's happening, right? But is that enough time to evacuate? Well, let's hope so, but I have my doubts. What about Chile? There's something going on as well that is unusual. Villarrica volcano. Lava fountains that are being spewed out by this guy and a lot of public warnings. So it's in southern Chile and it has put on recently quite a dramatic display. Has sent out lots of lava fountains, glowing eruptions, the night skies, lighting up the night sky. And Chile's National Geology and Mining Service reported a sharp increase in the volcanic activity. Also, almost always the same time, 2024, early 2024, February 2024 is what they're saying, with several moderate to strong eruptions coming from that volcano. And because of that, they have also raised the volcano's alert level, and authorities have issued evacuation notices for nearby communities. And the lava flows were quite spectacular the way they looked, so they have attracted global media attention. And great, but for locals, the risk of ashfall and lahars is a constant worry. And also the tourism in this region has faced disruptions because of that. Of course, as always, we know these thrill seekers, they're always coming, right? They came to witness the eruptions, most of them safely from afar, but we've seen that in Iceland, we've seen that with other volcanoes. Sometimes to do their selfies, they're going way too close. We've just seen it at Etna where they were skiing next to the lava flow. But businesses try to adapt to these disturbances and are trying to make contingency plans, but it's quite hard. And another thing that comes in this area with this volcano, that the scientists are saying that they have recorded also an increase in seismic tremors and volcanic earthquakes. So they think that there is an ongoing magma accumulation and movement underneath the volcano. So it's likely that the next event is coming soon, while there's something still filling up, right? It's like you have a water pipe, where there's a lot of water flowing through, you can feel a vibration, and that's when magma is trying to come up. So it's beautiful there, but also it's super, super dangerous. So it's a very volatile geology in this area in Chile. Then we have to go to the Philippines. Mayon volcano has a growing lava dome and also caused tense evacuation. Has been under close watch since late 2023. Same amount like late 2023 or early 2024. So its lava dome is growing at an alarming rate, guys. So the Philippine Institute of Volcanology and Seismology has also raised the alert level in January 2024 after detecting increased seismic activity and also gas emissions. So that has led to an evacuation of more than 30,000 people away from the danger zone because lava flows have threatened nearby villages. And also ash explosions and rockfall has become way more frequent in the area, has also affected agriculture air quality. And authorities have confirmed that Mayon's activity is the highest since its last major eruption that happened in 2018. And also they're having problems because they have to do these evacuations so often. Their emergency shelters and emergency food supplies have stretched very thin. Tourists are often admiring the look of this volcano, like this symmetrical cone. But now, for the locals who look at it, they see their own vulnerability when they look at that cone because it's continuously growing. So we will see where that goes. Well, and I just mentioned it. Let's jump back to New Zealand. White Island has unpredictable eruptions and unpredictable hazards. It's also known as Wakari. It's just located a little bit off the coast of New Zealand, and it has shown renewed signs of unrest also since December 2023. And GeoNet, that's New Zealand's Geological Hazard Agency, has reported increased steam plumes. One is happening right now, minor eruptions, and heightened gas emissions. Scientists have raised the volcanic alert level. We're currently at 3. And they're warning that further explosive activity is possible with little warning. So people need to stay off the island, and there's no tourist excursions anymore since that incident on White Island, because the island's history of sudden eruptions, and especially that tragic event in 2019, has kept the authorities on very high alert. And thankfully, these tour operators have suspended visits, and the exclusion zones there have been really strictly enforced for everyone's safety, because this island is so unpredictable, and you can't really plan, and to respond to that would be a current challenge. So leave the island alone. Right now, residents on the mainland have been advised to prepare for potential ashfall. And also, White Island is still in the global interest, because also there, how it is with these volcanic islands, it's a combination of hazard and beauty that seems to attract people's interest. Russia, another one that I have reported about before, Kamchatka Peninsula's Klyichevsky, I don't know, also has a high towering ash columns that it's spewing out in the area. It's located on the Kamchatka Peninsula, has erupted with remarkable intensity in, let's guess, early 2024. So what happened at the end of 2023 till early 2024 that they're all so active? So the Kamchatka Volcanic Response Team, the Volcanic Eruption Response Team, has documented ash columns even reaching higher than all the other ones that I've just reported about, as high as 13 kilometers in height. That's amongst the tallest recorded in this year so far. And the eruptions have disrupted, of course, again, air traffic along routes between Asia and North America, because they're flying in that area very high up. So local authorities have declared a state of emergency in several districts. And also here, ashfall has contaminated water sources and fields, farmland. So livestock farmers have struggled with feed shortages because a lot of grassland has been covered with ash. And scientists believe that tectonic shifts along the Pacific plate margin may be driving this increased activity. Well, it has to be something like this if it's so obvious along this Pacific Ring of Fire. Also there, we see ongoing lava flows and explosions, and it's in the focus of international scientific studies because the scale and the frequency of eruptions show that this is a region with extreme volcanic hazards. Ooh, and now we're coming to one that I really don't like that much. Let's go back to the west coast of North America. There's one volcano that everyone knows because of its enormous explosion that it has delivered. Mount St. Helens it has renewed earthquake activity and magma movement, guys. And I really don't like that. It's located in Washington State, and it shows signs of awakening. And it had a swarm of small earthquakes that was detected also since January 2024. And the USGS, has measured increased ground deformation, and that is not good, because if the ground is deforming, means something's pushing towards the surface. So they're also saying, the USGS says, this is a sign that magma is rising beneath the surface. So far they're saying no major eruption has occurred. Yeah, we're noticing this, right? The level of seismicity is the highest right now since the early 2000s. Ugh. I mean, this thing can send ash clouds. Wow. So park authorities there have increased their surveillance and have issued updated emergency plans for nearby communities. And I just drove by that park just a few, 2 months ago, 2.5 months ago, and I was thinking about stopping there and making a video for you guys, but I didn't have time, and I was like thinking I'll do this later. Maybe not. Maybe I'll report about it from further away. So the park authorities really have increased their surveillance, and they also have issued an updated emergency plan for the communities that are nearby. So if you look at the volcano's history, including this catastrophic 1980 eruption, I think that keeps locals on edge. It keeps me on edge, and I'm not really a local, I'm just close. So of course scientists are conducting regular aerial surveys, gas measurements, and they also are tracking any changes that the mountain might produce. And the potential for a new eruption has sparked renewed public interest in the mountain, but also preparedness drills for the locals. And, again, this ring of fire is a continuous threat for everyone who lives here. Doesn't matter, Canada or the US. I mean, there's large cities nearby. There's so many volcanoes. It is real. So guys, we can only wait and see. I mean, eventually there's going to be more eruptions from whatever volcanoes. But I think it gives you a good overview of what is happening there right now. And many of you were right. There is increased activity. So guys, if you like what you see or what you saw, and if you made it that far, give this video a like, share it with your friends, subscribe. If you want to support the channel, check the links in the description. I have a Buy Me a Coffee site. Thanks for the supers here, of course. And if you want to become a monthly supporting channel member, support me through that avenue. You get behind the scenes videos from me about my life and more private stuff. And I hope to see you in my next video, or as a member, or on my coffee site. And I hope you're doing great. Stay safe. I see you soon. Bye-bye. And check out the video on the end screen, of course. Bye.